the voice from room 313. It was a quiet, rainy Sunday night. Heavy rain poured down like nails against the hotel's tin roof. Thunder rumbled somewhere in the distance. The street outside was nearly empty. No cars, no pedestrians, just a flickering streetlight and the faint hum of power lines. That night, only one guest arrived. A tall man in a soaked gray shirt stepped into the lobby, dragging an old suitcase that looked like it had been through far too many miles. He walked up to the front desk, speaking softly. "Any rooms available?" The night clerk, a man in his early 30s, glanced up from his phone. He smiled politely, a little mechanically. "Just one left. Room 313. Third floor, end of the hall." "I'd like a room that doesn't face the street," the man added. The clerk nodded. "That's the one. Faces the back alley." The man paid in cash. Didn't ask for Wi-Fi. Didn't ask what time breakfast was. Didn't even look him in the eyes. He just took the key and walked upstairs quietly, wet footsteps echoing against the old wooden stairs. It was around 1 a.m. The clerk was watching the security monitors, mindlessly flipping through the black and white views of each hallway. Rain still lashed against the windows. The world outside remained pitch dark. And then he heard something, faint, like whispers, coming from the third floor. He paused. No other guests were checked in. Just room 313. He listened harder. It wasn't a TV. It wasn't music. Sounded like two people arguing in hushed voices. But the language was strange. Not English. Not Thai. Not any language he recognized. He tried to ignore it. But curiosity won. He grabbed a flashlight and made his way up. The second floor was silent. But as he stepped onto the third, the whispering returned. More clearly this time. It came from room 313. A soft yellow light glowed under the door. The voices were closer now. Still unintelligible but urgent, like a quiet argument. He knocked. Silence. He knocked again. Still silence. The doorknob slowly turned on its own, and the door opened just slightly. Inside the room was nothing. No bed. No TV. No furniture. Except a single old wooden table in the middle, and an old suitcase placed carefully beside it. "Hello," he called out. No response, just the quiet hum of the ceiling light. He stepped back, closed the door, and walked back down the stairs, this time faster. The next day, he reported what happened to the day manager. The manager frowned. Room 313? No one checked in last night. Yes, they did. Tall guy. Gray shirt. Soaking wet. No look. He pulled up the digital logs. No guests. No payments. No check-in. The clerk insisted. So they pulled up the CCTV footage from the night before. And there, on the screen, was the clerk himself, standing at the counter, talking to thin air, holding a key, reaching out to someone who wasn't there. No man, no suitcase, just silence and an empty hallway. Later that day, the security team went to check room 313. The door was locked from the inside. When they finally opened it, they found nothing. No light. No table, no suitcase, no guest. But on the far wall, faintly scratched into the wallpaper, in small shaking handwriting, were the words, "Don't let him out again." The journal that no one ever wrote. In the archive basement of an old university, there's a records room that no one visits anymore. It sits at the end of a narrow hallway, behind a heavy wooden door that creaks when opened. Dusty shelves, old folders, yellowed paper, and the musty scent of forgotten knowledge. One afternoon, a part-time lecturer named Fop was assigned to sort the inactive files. He was in his mid-30s, quiet, tidy, the kind of man who loved silence more than small talk. He liked organizing data. He liked order. He liked being alone. Before heading down, he grabbed a flashlight. The lighting system in the archive was old and unreliable. He opened the door to the records room. Everything looked normal. Stacks of files, layers of dust, nothing touched for years. But in the far corner, on a small wooden desk, sat a dark blue hardcover journal. No title, no label, and oddly, no dust. Curious, Fop picked it up. He opened the first page and paused. It was handwritten, and the handwriting looked exactly like his own. What shocked him more, it had his name and the date, today, and the first sentence was what he had just said aloud moments earlier. When he stepped into the room, "Nothing's changed down here." Goosebumps. He flipped the next page. It described exactly what he was doing right now, even his thoughts, the ones he hadn't spoken out loud, word for word. Panicked but fascinated, he kept turning pages, and what he found was a future, already written. It described what he was about to do next. The words appeared before he did anything. Then he found a blank page. At the top, in a shaky, desperate scrawl, were the words, "Do not write more." Suddenly, the lights flickered. A faint breathing sound came from behind the shelves. He turned his flashlight. Nothing. He looked back down. The journal was flipping pages on its own. Words were appearing, ink rising like mist through the paper. He tried to close the journal, but couldn't. His hands wouldn't move. It was like something wanted him to keep reading. And then a new message appeared. "You must choose. Write what comes next, or vanish like I did." He tried to throw the journal, but it had become heavier, warmer, like it was alive, like it had a pulse. Then the lights died. The entire room was swallowed in silence. Only the glow of the journal remained, just enough to reveal one final line, slowly appearing across the page. His story ends here. The next day, no one noticed Fop was missing. It wasn't until days later, when a staff member entered the archive to catalog files, that they found the blue journal, lying alone on the desk. No label, no dust. On the final page, written neatly in fresh black ink, "If you're reading this, your name will begin the next journal."